Shall we start?
Yes, please. Please turn on your video. Yes.
Shall we start, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hi, this is Popel and Sandeep from PIA, and welcome to the live session. In today's session, I will be discussing a couple of questions that generally students tend to ask me. And in the meantime, please feel free to ask me questions related to reading, listening, writing, or speaking. For that, you can start, writing the questions on the chat box. And Mr. Sandeep will be helping me, by asking the questions that you're putting up, and then I'll be in a very good position to give you answers. The basic questions that students generally ask me, and the kind of experience that I've had for 20 years offline, online classes, the question is basically related to speaking. And the very first question is like, ma'am, what exactly is the examiner looking for? And why am I getting 6.5 always, or 6? Why not 7, 7.5, or 8? Well, the kind of students generally give the paper, basically when it comes to, GT students, or maybe, academic students, it is not difficult to score 7. The point is that you really need to understand what exactly the examiner is asking. That is what we generally fail. So keeping in mind this first question, let me give you an answer for this. What exactly is the examiner looking for? Yes, the examiner is looking for grammar, your fluency, your pronunciation, vocab, which should be topic centric, and coherence. When you're giving your speaking, you need to be very expressive. Your one line answers will not serve the purpose. You just have 10 to 15 minutes basically to show your caliber, the ability that, yes, you can speak. So you need to be smart enough to play with words. Your mind should be ready with the kind of questions that examiner would ask, because it's easily available on the internet. We have different topics, maybe related to bags, to perfumes, related to reading, music, related to, basically eating habits of the people. We are aware about it. How well we are prepared, that does make a lot of difference. So when you're giving your answers, examiner is taking care, because and grammar is very, very important, because the entire paper is very smartly designed, because in speaking they'll be asking you questions related to the present, past, as well as future. So you need to listen to the question very carefully. If you're not listening to the question carefully, you are in trouble. So you need to take care of that. Apart from that, there is another question that students end up asking me is basically, can I give negative answers? Now, can I give negative answers? It's a big, big yes from my side. With all due respect to other teachers and, institutes, they have their own set of thinking. And most of the students, when they come to me, like, ma'am, I cannot give negative answers. It's not like that. The paper is designed like that. They might ask your preference, whether you like something or you don't like it. If you don't like it, be very comfortable enough to say that I don't like it. You can use the term unfortunately and honestly. I mean, that would be an added advantage. For example, say, for example, do you like reading? If you like it, say, of course, yes, I love reading. If you don't like it, just mention, honestly speaking, I don't like reading. I would rather prefer to go outside and do some kind of an outdoor activity and interact with people, rather than sitting back home and, doing reading. So you're giving a negative answer, but along with that, you're giving an explanation. So that's absolutely okay. The next question, again, the students tend to ask me is, ma'am, is it important to have an eye-to-eye contact with the examiner? No, that's again a big no from my side. This is a language paper. The examiner is trying to understand your language skills. If you feel uncomfortable, please ignore it. You don't have to have an eye-to-eye contact. Your language is what you need to focus on. Your language, the kind of words that you're using, and how well you're listening to the question. Are you justifying the question or not? That is what that matters. So if you don't end up, having an eye-to-eye contact, and that's the reason why examiner gave me 6.5, sorry, this is a wrong notion. This is just not right. So please be comfortable. Please be in your own skin. Please have an own aura of yourself, and be comfortable. So that is what that matters. Along with that, the next question, again, the students end up asking me is about the hand gestures. Ma'am, can we make hand gestures? Again, it's a big yes. We all are human beings, and when we're trying to express ourselves, it's but natural that we have our facial expressions, and a little bit of hand movement is always a big yes. And not to forget, when you're giving your answers, please end up having some emotions. Don't give an answer with just yes and no and very plain answers. You need to attract the examiner, so there has to be a fluctuation in your voice. Well, there are a lot of technical terms when you're talking about fluctuations, to be honest. So I'm not going to get into that, the technical terms. And I'll keep it very simple and straight. There has to be voice modulation. So that's a simple language which everybody would end up listening, understanding, basically. Sorry. So these are the things that you have to keep in mind. And rest, Mr. Sandeep, is there any question for me? Mr. Sandeep?
Yes, ma'am. Students, you can type your questions in the comment section and we can continue with your answers.
Whatever questions you have in mind, you can ask me.
Yes, ma'am, there is a question.
Yes.
It is a problem for me to understand the type of the question as far as essay writing is concerned.
Well, for that matter of fact, intensive training is required because in IELTS, be it your general category or be it your academic category, there are 5 to 6 type of essays. You really need to understand all the type of the question, how to structure it, how to write it down. So once that is an added advantage, if you really know what the type of the question is, it will help you to save time on the final day when you're giving your paper, because you just have 40 minutes to write your essay. So if the clarity factor is not there and you don't understand what the question is asking, if you don't understand what the type of the question is, you're in trouble. So intensive practice, right guidance is very important when it comes to understanding the type of the question. I generally confuse my students quite a number of time after after a couple of days of training, because I'm not going to be there with them. So they're going to be all by themselves. And even at that point of time, are they aware of what the question is asking? What exactly is the type of the question? I want my students to be very confident. So I do confuse them at times, and that's a practice we do it over here. So you really need to understand, and you need to practice, and somebody should be there to take care of that. That the clarity factor of all the questions is crystal clear with you. So that's the answer for this question.
There is a question from Mr. Sentinel. He
Understood.
is asking that is it only cue card which on the basis of which examiner give bands and speaking?
No, not at all. If that would be the case, then in speaking, we would just end up having the part 2 question. That's just the cue card. No, it's never like that. The part 1, part 2, part 3, all are very important. As I've always mentioned, the paper is very smartly designed. It is structured, and it is structured in such a manner from the first question to the end question, that is your part 3 discussion question. Examiner would be evaluating you in all the lines, because the first part is basically about your likes and your dislike, about it's very personalized. And again, cue card is like continuously, can you speak for 2 minutes? So they're trying to understand your fluency, and along with that they're trying to trap your pronunciation, and along with that your imagination, how comfortable you are. And after that, they're going to put you into that situation of part 3 question with a lot of discussion question, where they'll be asking you about people, what people think, what you think generally. It's a little bit more on the globalized terms, what's happening all around the world. So this gives a better opportunity for the examiner to evaluate you, right? So all the 3 parts, part 1, part 2, and part 3, they matters a lot. So it's never a part 2, never ever.
Another question from an academic student, Herman. He is asking that is there any difference in reading of general students and academic students?
Well, I would say there's a drastic difference. No doubt the time is like 1 hour. No doubt 40 questions is exactly the same, and you need to transfer your answers within that time period. But yes, it is different. It's more like, the section 1, section 2, and section 3, basically, the 3 passages, passage 1, passage 2, and passage 3, are different. When you talk about the GT students, it's comparatively different. It's more short and it's more precise when you talk about the GT students. So academic and GT students reading is completely different. And it's more technical. They have more technical questions in academic. Any
Another question from Mr. Guman Kalsi. He is saying that I am facing problem in the listening module. I have asked him what specifically is the problem. But according to you, what are the problems that student face as far as listening is concerned?
As far as listening is concerned, the major issue, what I have generally seen in my experience, is basically the third and the fourth section. Again, the paper is, I'm telling you, paper is very, very smartly designed, be it your reading, listening, writing, or speaking. The first and the second section is comparatively very easy, so the students have to just write on the address maybe, or maybe there's a diagram where they have to, figure out what exactly the examiner, what exactly the person is talking about, and they have to work it out. But the third section, which is basically MCQs, and the fourth section, at times you might get the fill in the blanks, and their fluency. I mean, the speed increases when it's third or fourth paragraph, or third or the fourth section, sorry. So it's basically the major problem is with MCQs, because students tend to get confused and they're not underlining the right keyword, because in MCQs you get three options, A, B, and C, and every sentence is different. So you need to correlate what exactly the question is asking. So, and along with that, you have to understand what A, B, C, what is the meaning of it, and what exactly is the right, conversation happening, and what's the right answer. And what students tend to miss out with listening is that they are not very efficient, or they're not very comfortable with synonyms. So you really need to understand, because they will not talk exactly the same lines. So the sentence, when they talk, they'll talk it a little bit different, they'll rephrase it, or they'll use synonyms. So you need to take care of that. So once all those things are comfortable, I don't think listening is a problem. The way we teach out here with MCQs, I'm very intensive with my students with synonyms, and I'm very intensive with MCQs, because that's a major issue. So I do see to it that they underline the keywords, understand what exactly the question is saying, because you have just 30 seconds. So we need to work it out very smartly, and of course with a lot of intensive practice, things work. And it's just not practice, to be very, very honest. I mean, if you don't figure out what your problems are and what you missed out, you need to analyze, study, and you need to analyze and figure out what your problems are. Once you do that, I think nobody can stop you from 8.5 or even 9 in listening. So all these factors have to be kept in mind. So this is for listening.
Supreet is saying that I have been following you from quite some time, and I have heard a lot about your formats. What is it basically?
Well, at PIA, I generally understand the anxiety factor which students have, and it's English paper. Format is just a helping hand for the students. Format will not give you 7 bands for sure. That will just give you at least a picture in your mind what exactly you're supposed to write, because at that point of time, when you have just 40 minutes in hand, I want my students to focus on what exactly the question is all about, and what they're supposed to write, how they're going to focus on ideas. So formats definitely play a very important role to save time. So I'm very particular with the format, and there are 2 to 3 formats which I generally give it to my students, and I tell them that fine, you can go through it very well, but that the story does not end there, because in IELTS we have around like 5 to 6 essay writing, and at times I just cannot give them formats, because there are different ways of attempting the question. So even at that point of time, I need to design the mind of the student that, okay, fine, if a question like this comes, because agree and disagree. So there are different ways of writing this, essay question. So over there, again, I work on formats, but there is not a fixed format that you have to write it. So I keep, making my students more confident enough, wherever they can use the formats that I've taught, they can use it very confidently. But yes, I prepare them for the worst. You never know what will happen. You never know what will come. But the fact is that I want my students to score 7.5 in writing, which is always a target for PIA. So I work with the formats, but then I work with the formats as far as their mind is concerned. They need to be natural. They need to understand whatever the questions are. And if they have to frame a format at that point of time, they should be very much confident about doing that. So even the worst to worst situation, if I'm not there, PI students should be comfortable enough to get that 7 plus bands.
I requested for writing only module practice from you, but my request was rejected 4 times. Can you please help us with only writing module?
I would love to give you an answer for this. Students, I am a teacher, right? And I'm sorry, like myself and Sandeep, so we always end up saying that if you want to come for writing module, it's a big no. Try to understand, students, it is a paper where your psychology, your state of mind does make a lot of difference. If you come for writing classes, I have no issues, I can make you happy, but that's just an eye wash. You'll be very confident, yes, I'll get 7.5, and when you go for your exam and again you come back with 6.5, and then you would, how come I ended up again getting 6.5? Man, you taught me. Let me share a secret with you over here, guys. Try to understand. In the exam, when you go and give your paper, you have your listening followed by reading and then followed by writing, right? And before that you go for your registration and you're spending time, anxiety factor is there. So your writing task is the last task that you're doing when your brain is completely drained out, right? And at that point of time, I need to be very, very confident that my student will score 7.5. So what happens is that when you are there with me in the class, we work on the same lines. There are times when I'll give you mock tests. There are times where I will, drain you out. And then I'll tell you that, okay, fine, write down this essay and a letter in 1 hour's time. And then I have to understand the quality that my student is giving me. That is where I catch my students. That's the time I understand where the flaws are. So it is very important that we need to work with your listening and your reading and then your writing. So that's the reason why we don't teach students only for writing, which is very easy for me. But then exams, when you go and give your paper, things don't happen. And we are basically, I would say target oriented. We are basically result oriented. So it's better to say no, and because we know results won't happen. So again, understanding the psychology, the state of mind of the students, all those things matter. For a teacher, basically, it does make a lot of difference. I would not like to cheat my students at all. So no writing for sure, just writing. But yes, if you do it, I need to analyze you, be it with your, listening, reading, or writing. So that's the reason why we don't take students only for reading or for speaking. Hanji sir, the next question, please.
Ma'am, question from Rajat. First of all, I need to admit that I am a terrified student because I appeared in exam for 12 times. No doubt I know that my English level is good, but still my bands always fluctuate in one module or the other module. How can I fix it?
The only answer to this question is that you need to understand what IELTS Cambridge is asking. Giving paper 5 times, 10 times, 15 times, or maybe 18 times, I've had students 26 times, it will not serve the purpose. You keep practicing reading, n number of times, listening n number of times. It won't serve the purpose till the time you don't understand what IELTS Cambridge is asking for. So it is important that you get the right kind of guidance, where exactly the problem is, where exactly the loophole is, So either at times you might do your writing and get 7, and the next time you might not get it with your reading. So you need to be particular with reading, listening, writing, and speaking, and understand what IELTS Cambridge is asking. You need to understand the X factor which is required. So once you are guided right and once you're on the right track, I don't think there's any problem for you to score your magic bands of 8,777 and even more than that. So you need to know what exactly IELTS Cambridge is asking for. The tips, basically.
I think this is a question from an academic student. In Punjabi, he is asking, "Ma'am, मैं अपनी reading किवें ठीक करा?"
मैं पंजाबी विच जवाब देवां क्यों इंग्लिश विच देवां? सब तो पहले तो अगर पंजाबी विच क्वेश्चन है तो it's a big sat sri akal from my side to all the Punjabis those are listening to me. Yes, reading is a big issue because see, we don't have this habit of reading, most of us, and sitting and reading becomes very complicated, and when the kind of topic that they ask is so technical in nature. But again, as I mentioned it to you, that IELTS Cambridge is a very lovely paper. It's a sweetheart, to be honest. For me, it's a sweetheart, and it'll give you guidance. कुछ ना कुछ ऐसा होगा, किथे ना किथे कोई points होंगे जिदे विच तानू वो help करनगे. Now, how to do it? Say, for example, reading. The most of the time, students don't even understand what the question is asking. they would try to read and, they'll figure out, okay, the answer can be this. They have the right location, but they're not in a good position to figure out what exactly the answer is. The location is there, but the answer is not. That is because you're not even reading what the question is asking. So you need to read the question very carefully. You need to underline the keywords and sense it. So once you logically understand what your question is asking, I think your reading problem will definitely be solved. And you need 6.5 bands, and that is 25 plus marks. So even if you get 30, you are in the 7-band scale. So again, as I mentioned, don't get into the scared feeling that reading ho hi nahi sakta ho. मतलब मैं कर ही नहीं सकता, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता. 40 out of 40 question, even if your 30 answers are right, you get 7 bands in reading, specifically with your reading. So if you're aware about the tips and techniques, how to do your reading, it will never ever be a problem. Students are scoring, but again, as I mentioned, tips has to be taken care. Right direction is very much important. So it will definitely happen. 6.57 is a cakewalk for academic students in reading.
A comment from Sunita. Ma'am, I am a trainer myself. I have been following your standards. But the problem is I get confused when I came across a lot of material available on the internet.
Internet is loaded with material. When students, they come to me, my first, with the very first class, I tell them, please stay away from internet. You feel comfortable reading, you feel good about it. Okay, internet, if I go to this particular website, it's an 8-band essay, it's a 9-band essay, and you start framing your mind like that. No, please don't do that. Keep your mind clear. Internet, instead of going and reading those, essays that's there, you have questions easily available. I would advise you to go and read articles. If you read articles, you'll get the right information, because reading, and this will help you in your reading also. See, you're doing 2 tasks at one point of time. So you get information. When you get global information on a particular topic, you're more comfortable. You're in a better position to give answers. So please don't go ahead and read all the essays that's there in the, on the internet, or maybe speaking. I would not advise you to do that. But if you are reading, you should be aware that whether it is authentic or not, whether it has those IELTS Cambridge standards, with all due respect to all the websites that's easily available online. But you need to judge whether you are browsing the right website or not, and is it according to the standards of what IELTS Cambridge is all about. So if that's the case, then please go ahead. Otherwise, try to stay away from it and read as many articles as you can.
A query from Mandeep Daisy Flora about true-false questions. Sometimes it is difficult to obtain the correct one among the similar options. How can we improve?
Well, sir, for this, I will be having a special session for the students, because when it comes to, true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given, students, they have a lot of issues related to false and not given. So there is a strategy that I need to explain it to the students along with the question. So what exactly the passage is talking about and what exactly the question is. So we can, so both of us can plan a special session for reading specifically with true, false, not given. And in that particular session, we'll be in a very good position to give an answer for this.
The next question is from Gini Chabda. Hi, ma'am. If we exceed the word limit in writing module, is there any deduction in bands as well if we go beyond the word limit?
No, not at all. See, with your letter writing or with your graph, you need to write 150 words minimum. Maximum can be 170, 180. With your essay writing, minimum 250 is a must, but if you end up writing 280 or maybe 290, there's never a negative marking. So just relax as far as this is concerned. But minimum, whatever it is, 150, 120, you need to work on that. If you write anything less than 250 or maybe less than 150 with your letter or graph, then there is a negative marking. Otherwise, nothing to worry about. As long as you are writing the right question and you're in the in the right track and you're in the right I would say loop, even if you're writing like maybe 10 words more or 20 words more, it will definitely not hamper your band score. That's for sure.
Ma'am, next comment is from Bangladesh. He's saying, I missed it. Pratibha Kanwar. Hi ma'am, I need help in writing and speaking module as I have attempted twice but still not able to score more than 6.5 in writing and 7 in speaking. How can I improve both?
Writing and speaking, when we come to those two modules, for me they are like just one. I never segregate writing and speaking to be two different modules in IELTS. If you speak well, you write well. You write well, you speak well. With your writing and speaking, that's what again I'm saying. If you are into the right track and you know what IELTS Cambridge is asking for, wherein you're showing your flexible, feature of writing something or maybe speaking, you can get 7 bands. We're not aiming for 9. It's very rare students come up and they tell me that, ma'am, I need 9 bands. Getting 7.5, you make errors as far as like grammar is concerned, or maybe somewhere, there are a lot of play area. I mean, IELTS has given you enough, I would say, leverage for 7 bands. You make mistake, but still you get 7. But the point here is that, are you really understanding what exactly the IELTS Cambridge is asking for? If I would say the crux to all the problem is that you need to understand what exactly IELTS Cambridge is asking. It's exactly like, what the question is asking, what exactly is the keyword. All these things does make a lot of difference to score 7 plus band. So if you're aware about it, I don't think there'll be any problem. And writing and speaking is something very, very beautiful. And let me tell you very honestly, when you talk of speaking, when you're talking of writing, at PIA, I am just not training you for IELTS Cambridge. That's not my purpose. I want you to be comfortable with this language and be so comfortable that you don't even feel that you're going and giving your paper. That's your natural self. So there are a lot of practices that we keep on doing so that we enhance your language skills. Even in your day-to-day routine, you should be in a position to speak confidently in English, and people should compliment you that you have started speaking really well, be it your boss or be it your friends. So that's my approach of teaching. The more the comfortable you are with yourself, you'll be all the more comfortable, so that that anxiety or that uncomfortable, that question mark that you have, oh, it's my paper, what do I do? On the final day it should be like, oh, there's a paper, it's fine, I'll just go and have fun and come back. That should be the attitude, and if that attitude can only come if you are comfortable with yourself, and that's the way we work with our students.
Ma'am, comment from Rana Uday Singh. Hi ma'am, what can be done for the speaking part? As I feel comfortable while having a conversation, but I feel blank or out of words when given a topic to speak.
For that, a lot of practice is required. So I would say a lot of practice related to the kind of topics that generally comes in IELTS. And along with that, within 10 to 15 minutes, is the student or are you in a good position to show yourself that, yes, I can communicate well in English and I do have a lot of vocabulary related to the topic. So they need to be trained for that matter of fact. Say, for example, a student end up, giving an answer, like question, like, do you like history? 90% of the students, they end up saying, yes, I like history. No, I don't like history because it's boring. That's not the way you're supposed to give an answer for, speaking. If the question is like, do you like history? Honestly speaking, I don't like history. And I was never a person who would love this subject during my school days. So it was a big, big no for me in the past. But honestly speaking, now I think history is something which I just love, because I do travel a lot and I do end up visiting different art galleries and museums. So knowing about history is very much important to enjoy that work of art. So in the past, it was a big no from my side, but now I just love it. It's a very interesting subject, I would say. So see, there is so much of information that you have given and you've poured your heart out. You've talked about your past, that, okay, fine, it was boring, because of course, 90% of the students, they end up telling me, ma'am, it's boring. But then how you can make your answers all the more interesting for the examiner to listen to you and figure out that you are giving answers with content, you are giving answers with a lot of substance, and you're trying to express yourself. That is what that makes a lot of difference. And for you to score 7 plus band in your speaking, and it should not be with just one question, it should be with all the questions. It's like you need to play with words. So I'm going to teach you, or I generally teach my students how to handle it smartly. And I would say one of the most important X factor for speaking is listen to what the question is asking. If you don't listen to what the question is asking, you will not be in a good position to frame your answers and be on the right track. So keep this in mind. And the key word, if the question is like, as I've just mentioned, do you like history? So the keyword out here is like. So you need to talk about your like, your preference, whether you like it or not. So you need to have, if you like it, you need to have positive words. If you don't like it, you need to have some negative words already there in your mind to make the answer all the more presentable. Hanji sir.
Ma'am, question from Kaisar Amin. Hi ma'am, I see you from Bangladesh. My problem is that I can talk smoothly on any topic, but not feel comfortable in conversation with others.
I would say you become conscious. If this is a problem, you start thinking while you're talking, you're even thinking that I'm being analyzed. So when anybody feels that I'm being analyzed by someone, you become conscious, your natural self is not there. So be confident about yourself that yes, I can talk, yes, I want to talk, and yes, I'm the best. So if you tell your mind there's a self-talk which you should do in order to find a solution to this problem. So in your day-to-day routine, you'll be more comfortable. And it's okay if you have made a mistake, it's fine. If the person is laughing, it's okay. We all make mistakes. If the person is laughing, it's okay, fine. Don't take it too hard. And I think if you have this kind of an attitude, I think you'll be more comfortable speaking to anybody, and you'll be more confident enough to give seminars or maybe presentation if you're a working professional. So start believing in yourself, start being confident. Things will definitely happen. That's for sure. Haji sir, next question, please.
Next is, how effective online classes would be since unable to appear in physical classes due to this lockdown?
Well, for me, there is no difference whether it is online or offline. I need to connect with my students. I need to see to it that the concepts are clear. I need to talk to them. I need to have one-to-one session with them. I do that, be it offline or online. So there's no difference at all. Like if I'm, we have intensive classes with reading, listening, writing, speaking. We have in-house speaking classes. So the student is practically not there. But online, I mean, you can see them, the videos are on and we are interacting. So there is no difference. So I would say from my side, never ever. I even end up like calling up my students personally if I feel that there is a problem. So I connect with them, I talk to them, I try to understand what's going on in their mind, because at times students might not be comfortable because there are other students also around. So I do make it a point to talk to them. So if I talk to them, understand what the problem is, and then try to, customize classes for, students, that, okay, this is the best way to work it out. So I even end up doing that. Maybe even at one point of time, whether he or she's an offline student or an online student, I'm doing the paper checking, and it's like maybe 11 in the morning, or maybe 8 in the night, or maybe 10 in the night, and I feel that I need to talk to the students. I would definitely call them up and talk to them, so that because the paper is right in front of me, I can understand their state of mind, because when I read, I understand what's going on in their mind. So they might get a call from me and we can have a healthy discussion. So I don't think so there is any difference between offline and online classes for me. As a teacher, both are exactly the same. Next question, sir.
I won't say it is a question. It is in fact a compliment from Rabia. She's saying, I would like to answer this as well. I was ma'am's student in her physical classes, and now I am into online classes, and I don't see any difference in her passion. PIA rocks. Thank you, Rabia.
Well, thank you, Rabia, so much for such an amazing compliment. And I hope that in the near future, we maintain that, because here we connect with students, we fall in love with students and understand their problem, because IELTS, it's a big thing for students. I mean, it's matter of the career, it's matter of the life. So the best can come out only if we are connected. So thank you so much for the compliment. And I'm sure myself and Sandeep sir will always keep you happy and try to be more innovative and try to do things which would make the students comfortable. But prepare them for the worst. I am a devil, to be very honest. If I am there to help you, I will put my students into a very rough phase also, so that on the final day they are very comfortable. So it's going to be a very smooth and a rough, I would say, drive with me. So thank you so much, Rabia, for that.
There is a question from Karuna Kapoor. Which factor has more or less weightage from different factors like grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation in speaking module?
Everything plays an important role. 25% marks for your grammar, for your pronunciation, for your coherence, for your vocabulary. Everything matters. When you're talking of 7.5, when everything matters a lot. So you cannot give weightage to grammar and then forget about the vocab, or you cannot give a lot of weightage to your fluency and you're not working with the content. No, I'm sorry, then you're in trouble. So the paper is designed in such a manner that all the factors will be taken into consideration. So over here, when we are training students for 7 and 8 bands, we take care of all the things, and even you have to take care of all the things. So you cannot compromise on this. So when you're aiming for high bands, everything does makes a difference. Every factor makes a lot of difference. So equal importance have to be given, for sure.
Next question from Daljit. Ma'am, as far as writing module is concerned, I'm lacking in this module from past 7 attempts, and I'm unable to figure out where I lack. At times I lack in ideas, at times I lack in words or vocabulary.
Well, I would love to give an answer for this, and I would start by saying that what I've generally seen with students, writing means essay writing for the students. They don't pay attention to their graph when it comes to academic, and they don't pay much attention to their letter writing when it comes to the GT students. So first thing you have to keep in mind that the quality of writing, be it your, your graph or your letter, or is it your essay writing, both are equally important. After that, the second thing is that you need to see to it that whatever you're writing in your letter or in your essay or in your graph, it has to be topic centric. The right kind of content, the right kind of ideas, the right kind of vocab, topic centric vocab, your grammar does make a lot of difference. So when you pay attention to both the modules, when you pay attention to the content, when you pay attention to the topic centric vocabulary, I'm not looking for vocabulary which is very high level vocabulary. Sorry, that does not exist in IELTS. Basically, this is a hype that has been created that, okay, fine, if you write very high-fi words or idioms, you will end up getting 7 plus band. No, you all need to do is to focus on basically the topic-centric vocabulary, which plays an important role. So we definitely need to work on that. And if you work on that, I'm sure 7 is definite. Getting 7 in writing is a cakewalk, to be honest. There's just a hype that is created everywhere that you can't get it. You can get it. 7 is there for you, but you have to be very careful that what IELTS Cambridge is asking for, please follow it. Once you're in the right track, I'm sure it is definitely, 7 is definite, and you're very comfortable for it, I would say. Thanks, sir.
Another comment from Diljit. He is saying that I usually get lost while in listening module. Any tips for non-native English speakers?
The first is that you need to listen a lot. You need to figure out different accents, basically, and you need to tune your mind to different accents. So once that is done, then you need to hop into what IELTS Cambridge is all about. So you need to practice a lot, and you need to work with your speed and understanding what they're trying to say. So again, over here, there are a lot of tips that we can incorporate for sure. It's a long, I would say, it has to go in on a detailed note if I have to explain that. So we can keep this in mind. And as I've mentioned, for reading true, false, not given, we'll have a special session. So with listening also, we can have a special session so that I can explain the students along with examples. It will be all the more careful, and I can give them more tips related to listening.
My next question is from Pulkit Verma. He is saying that I have seen a lot of students scoring 8,777 from your institute. How is this possible? I am unable to score even 6.
Well, everything is possible. Why not? We need to figure out where exactly the problem is. So, me, along with my team at PIA, we understand the nature of the students. We understand the background of the students. We sit and have a counseling session with the students. And then we try to figure out, because we do have our performance sheet. Every day, the performance sheet has to be taken care by the students and the teachers. And we are analyzing weekly basis what exactly the problem is and where exactly the problem is. So there's a detailed note the student takes care of and the teachers, and then I have meeting with my teachers and we all sit together and work as far as each and every student is concerned. And there's a healthy discussion. So we even have discussion with the students, because counseling sessions end up taking place. So once we rule out your problem, the weakness that you have, so we work on that. So once, if we are aware that that's a problematic area and this is where your problem is, we customize the class. We start working on your loopholes. And if that is done, and of course, your student also have to be very intensive. It has to be like 50% from our end and 50% from the student's end. So if that beauty is there, if hand-to-hand work is there, of course, yes, the bands that students are scoring here at PI, of course, you will also be a part of it for sure. So it's very, I would say, we really work on a lot of factors when it comes to students and their results.
Ma'am, there are still, we have approximately 12 questions, but it is 1:42.
Right.
So shall we end the session for now for the next session?
Yes, sir, we will stop it right now. And to be very honest, thank you so much for all of you who have joined us. And it was a pleasure. Come up with all your, problems that you have. You can always send in your request. You can always, send us mails related to your problems, and we can customize, and we can again have a live session if you have any issues, and you can have an interaction with me and I can help you out. And in the near future, we will be working on reading, listening special sessions. So, or anything else you have in mind, just let us know about it. And that's it for today. I would say, thanks from my side as well as from Mr. Sandeep. So have a great day ahead, and keep yourself fit. That's very important. God bless all of you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.